Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Those of you online, thanks for being here. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Glad to see you. If you are a mom, make sure that you got a rose as you came in this morning. That's what they're there for. So we're going to make sure everybody gets one of those. I'm sorry about you guys at home, but virtual roses for all of you. Welcome, everybody, to Mother's Day morning. Happy Mother's Day. Glad to see you all. And as we begin our celebration here at Golden Gate this morning, I just want to remind you that you are welcome. Whoever you are, if it's your first time, if it's your 1,000th time, you are welcome. We're thrilled and delighted that you're here. So this is a time for people to greet one another, and I invite you to stand up, move around, introduce yourselves to folks you don't know, welcome people, just say hi, and if you're a mom, run back and get yourself a rose if you didn't get one on the way in. And everybody online, just give yourself a hug and know that you are welcome, and we'll be singing with you shortly.
We have an invoker today.
Leslie. All right. All right, come on back. Good morning. All right, glad to see you all. So this is our opportunity to get ready to sing together. And this morning we have Gary Lynn Floyd back with us. He was the one who participated with Karen Drucker for our concert for the 40th anniversary. So he's doing the music for us this morning, and he's starting off with a song by Donna Michael that we've sung many times, I Am a Light. By the way, Gary is the artist in residence at Center for Spiritual Living in Reno, and he won a 2020 Empower Music Posse Award for his song Love Always Finds a Way, which he wrote with Amy Bishop and Karen. And you can get all the CDs and information about him from GaryLynnFloyd.com, and that's in your bulletin. So stand up and join us. We're going to sing I Am a Light with Gary right now.
Good morning, Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Gary Lynn Floyd with you again this morning. So glad to be back. Wish I was there in person like I was for the 40th anniversary. We'll have to do that again soon. Sing with me. I know you'll know this one. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. Look at somebody and sing it. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, all of us, here we go. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light.
Sounds great.
We are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright, and we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. Back to I am a light. Claim it this morning. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. I am alive. One more time. I am alive. Beautiful.
Wonderful. You may be seated. We thank Gary very much for being back with us. He is a dear heart, and it's really nice to be able to include him even when he can't be here. So many thanks to him. So now I want to invite you to go ahead and silence your cell phones. That way they won't disturb the atmosphere that we're creating as we begin to turn within. So this is our time now that we've brought ourselves together in voice. And by the way, you sound terrific this morning. Now we're going to go within and join together in consciousness. So I want to invite our morning practitioner, Leslie Giannetti, up, who is going to do the opening for us now.
So just turning within to our sacred center as I bring my full attention to the magnificent, omnipresent light, the light that moves upon itself and creates out of itself. It infuses everything with its power, and it recreates everything with its harmonizing, all-inspiring, expansive sweep of divine love. That this light is right now settling through each one and aligning each one. So I speak my word, and I claim an opening in consciousness for a deep and resonant realization of the light within, which is the absolute authentic truth of each one. It is the deepest part of each one's nature. And that the light is always seeking greater expression by means of each one, reflecting out into the world, into experience. And realizing this and allowing for the light to infuse every cell and atom is a result and a demonstration of unity consciousness, as the light is always unifying everything to itself, and unity consciousness is the demonstration of oneness. And this is the truth of being, and this is the power of the law of attraction. So I celebrate the life within each one right now that is already resonating through today's service and through Reverend Mary. And I give thanksgiving for the opening in consciousness, which allows for the light of truth to be spoken and heard and brought into form for the highest and greatest. And I release my word to the law of mind, which accepts my word as a brand new creation to celebrate the light. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. Thank you, Leslie.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come, I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by an heaven sent, May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content, ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name, hold me in the same breath as your word. Oh God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud, let me live my love out loud, standing for mankind and proud, baptized in a holy shroud. Peace be still and know me now, God is in all I have found. God, let me know your name, hold me in the same breath as your word. Oh God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Spinning like the prayer fields, turning like Ezekiel's wheels. Nothing like a kiss seals this spirit I've become. Knowing what I'm here for, rowing on to distant shores, flowing from the infinite, God in everyone. Spinning like the prayer fields, turning like Ezekiel's wheels. Nothing like a kiss seals this spirit I've become. Knowing what I'm here for, rowing on to distant shores, flowing from the infinite, God in everyone. Out of darkness I have come, I see God in everyone.
So now, if you are someone who has raised a child as a mother, as a stepmother, as an adoptive mother, as a foster mother, as a Girl Scout leader, as a teacher, would you please stand? Now, if you have your rose, hold it up. Oh, if you have fur children, please stand. Furry, scaly, or feathered, please stand. Okay, now, where did the roses end up? Let's make sure that everybody has one. Okay, and also, let's say this, if you are a father who was in the role of mom also, would you stand as well? And we'll make sure that we give out roses to everybody who's done the mom thing, the nurturing mom thing. So, hold up your rose if you have one. If you don't have one, hold up your empty hand so that they can find you. Okay? Very good. We have moms all over the place. And we have moms all along the side over here, Ellen, on the aisle. And also M. Louise and Sophie back at the back as well. Amanda's going to catch them. Okay. All right. Because we especially want to acknowledge all those of you who have helped shape other lives directly in some way. So, if you are a grandmother, would you remain standing? Okay, let's acknowledge the grandmothers as well. And if you are a great-grandmother, would you remain standing? Woo, we got 2 today. Yay, 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 yay. All right. Very good. Thank you, everybody, and happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there online this morning as well. So I want to start with a mothering kind of story. This is the sort of thing that if you've raised children, you will recognize this kind of story. So, she says, we had this great 10-year-old cat named Jack. Jack was a great cat, and the kids would carry him around and sit on him, and nothing ever bothered him. He used to hang out and nap all day long on this mat in our bathroom. Well, we also have 3 kids, and at the time of this story, they were 4 years old, 3, and 1. The 3-year-old is Eli. Eli really loves chapstick, loves it. He kept asking to use my chapstick and then losing it. So one day I showed him where in the bathroom I keep my chapstick, and I told Eli he could use it whenever he wanted to, but he needed to put it right back in the drawer when he was finished. Last year on Mother's Day, we were having the typical rush around, trying to get ready for church with everyone crying and carrying on. My 2 boys were fighting over the toy in the cereal box. I was trying to nurse my little one. At the same time, I was putting on my makeup. Everything was a mess, and everyone had long forgotten that this was a wonderful day to honor me and the amazing job that is motherhood. We finally had the older one and the baby loaded in the car, and I was looking for Eli. I'd searched everywhere for him. When I finally rounded the corner to go into the bathroom, and there was Eli. He was applying my chapstick very carefully to Jack's rear end. Eli looked right into my eyes and said, "Chapped." Now, if you have a cat, you know that he was right. Their little butts do look pretty chapped, and frankly, Jack didn't seem to mind. The only question to really ask at that point was whether it was the first time Eli had done that to the cats behind, or the 100th. So that's why my lips stayed chapped on Mother's Day. Yeah. My son once painted the floor with ice cream, but we won't go into that. All right. So as we're looking into Mother's Day, we've also been looking into light and darkness this month, and a light shining in the darkness. You know, in Gary's song, he said, "Out of darkness I have come." But last week I also said that there's something about the description of people who've had near-death experiences, that experiencing the presence of God was like experiencing a tremendous light in the darkness that was not contradictory to the darkness. Somehow it was a part of the darkness. We can't even imagine this in our world. But the idea of the light and the dark both being important together became an important factor for me. So when we talk about a light shining in the darkness, today we're talking about inner and outer darkness and light. We have darkness and light outside of us. You know, every single day we see the sun and we see the moon, or we see light and darkness in the way that things happen in the world and people interact with each other. And for ourselves, we recognize when we are exceptionally bright and alive and happy and alert and giving, and when we're not so much. So those are times we look upon as darkness and light. But the truth is, we all of us, have a shadow self. And the shadow self is the tricky part of us, because this is the part of us that we tend to want to hide or reject or deny it or in cases of severe denial, projected onto other people. And what that means is that we keep a part of ourselves separate from our awareness. Usually, it's something related to our hidden fears and motivations, things that we don't feel so good about, things that we don't want to own, things that we don't want to recognize as a part of ourselves that we go into denial about. But in order for us to become integrated as people, we need to embody the darkness that's in us as well as the light. Carl Jung said, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. So what we want to be able to do instead is reveal that to ourselves, witness it, accept those little parts of ourselves, and own it. Because when we do that, you know, it's often been said that we learn more from our failures than from our successes. And I think, too, that we learn, if we're able to be teachable, if we're able to be open to it, we learn more also about the times that we fell short of our ambition or our intention for ourselves as spiritual people by being short-tempered or unkind or judgmental or dismissive of other people. And when we do that, we feel bad, and the tendency is to try and, you know, have reasons and excuses for why we did that, because that's not really us. You know, that's an anomaly when we do those kinds of things, except it's not. You know, Mary Mannon Morrissey said once that she had to do a lot of forgiveness to make it safe for certain people to cross the pathways of her mind. They weren't safe in her consciousness unless she could forgive them, because she was angry, hurt, upset, resentful, whatever it was, toward them. Anybody ever felt that way? Like somebody really wasn't safe in your own mind. As long as they were in your territory, they weren't exactly safe. Craig Lounsbrough said, "We wear masks not to be something different, but to deny the something different that we are without the mask." So I can remember wanting to fit in so much when I was in high school. And you can see it if you look through our high school annual. All the girls had the exact same hairstyle. When we weren't in school uniforms, because we were in Catholic school, we all wore jeans, bell-bottoms, that we got at the Army-Navy surplus store. And generally, although they were bell-bottoms, they were so tight everywhere else that breathing was challenging. Everybody wore those. I can remember lying down on the bed to get those zipped or buttoned. So trying to be a part of, but we have to embody, own the dark side, the side that is uncertain, doubtful, afraid, faithless, despairing, cruel. We have to own that side of us in order to bring it within our reach of directing it. So when we find ourselves in that position, we have a way of recognizing it and dealing with the feelings that arise in us without shoving them away. David Trimble said, "The dark shadow we seem to see in the distance is not really a mountain ahead, but the shadow of the mountain behind, a shadow from the past thrown forward into our future. We can leave it behind us if we wish." So what he's essentially telling us is that when we see that projection out there in front of us, the mountain that we've kept hidden from ourselves, then we have the opportunity to look at it clearly and know that that's our mountain. And although it's in our past, we don't need to drag it forward unconsciously into our future. You know, there are times when we can take those negative aspects and put them to use in a productive way. Sometimes if our anger is something that we're not happy with, we can learn to express it more responsibly and also to rely on it in moments when it is appropriate to be fierce about something. Sometimes it is, but we don't have to lay waste to the universe when we're angry to make that point. Does this make sense? Yeah? When we are judgmental Maybe what we want to do is just back that up into the area where we are discerning, so we can see the contrasts and see the differences without immediately putting a judgment of good or bad on top of what we're seeing. We can see the differences without holding them and weighing them in comparison to each other negatively. So what do we do? Oh, for heaven's sake, stop that. When we start to take a hold of it, we find that we see the dark side more clearly than we wanted to. That's the beginning. You know, the beginning of healing in a 12-step program has to do with taking a fierce moral inventory. I mean, really, without any excuses, without any reasons, just owning it. Okay, this is what I've done, this is who I am, this is how I feel about that. And just putting it all out there. Could take weeks, I don't know, to do that kind of thing. But that fierce moral inventory is painful to do, but it's the first part of the healing process. So when we want to bring the shadow side of ourselves into our awareness, which also means more of our choice and control, we have to look it right in the face. And that is the hardest part. So when we look at the darkness of who we are and we begin to own it, the first temptation is to feel very disappointed in ourselves and disillusioned and despairing. That's also something we have to own. It's not a truth. It is an experience of the moment. We want to recognize it and then look at how else can I respond to this? What else might this be here for or trying to show me? So besides being disappointed in ourselves and judging ourselves, maybe it's useful to look and say, okay, how does recognizing this negative aspect, this darkness in myself, how does recognizing that serve me? What can I do with it now that I see it? Well, maybe if I know that I have a tendency to be judgmental, that I have a tendency to gravitate towards seeing what's not right with somebody else. If I know that, then maybe when I catch myself doing that, I can immediately say, okay, great, got that. And what are the positive aspects of this person or this situation? What is good about this that I can take from it? What does it show me? How does it help me learn something? And make it into a gift, the ability to see that, but also to see the other side. Because if we can see the negative, we can also see the positive. We may just not have as much practice doing that. Patrick Harbula, one of our ministers, who wrote The Magic of the Soul. You know, I taught the class, The Journey of the Soul, a little while back. Patrick said this: my shadow, which contains all of my weaknesses, is an important part of who I am. And by embracing it, I become more whole. By letting out the darkness, it becomes exposed to the light. This is an ongoing process, and periodically I'm confronted with my own shadow and my own resistance to it. Each time I'm willing to see my weakness honestly, I become freer. Each time I accept my deepest inner antithesis of soul, I become more whole. And you know, the thing that I've noticed when I'm able to do this is when I feel that I have a need to apologize to somebody for something I've said or done or failed to say or do, it makes me humble. It also makes me vulnerable. And there is something, when you're speaking with another person of good intention, there is something that evokes a feeling of oneness and compassion when we allow another person to experience our vulnerability. If we're always on top of everything and invulnerable, people can't even relate to us. It's like, oh yeah, they've got it all figured out. They're always comfortable. Nothing bad ever happens to them. You know, they never make any mistakes. They got the world on a string. Their life is perfect. However, nobody's is. So that facade is preventing that person from having the freedom to be a human being. So when we let ourselves acknowledge, boy, I really screwed that up. I'm very sorry. In retrospect, I feel completely embarrassed that I did that or I said that. Then we have the opportunity to regroup and reconnect, create a reconnection with the other person where there had been a break in the relationship. Everybody following this? You know? Ram Dass said, the shadow is the greatest teacher for how to come to the light. And Carl Jung said, how can I be substantial if I do not cast a shadow? I must have a dark side also if I am to be whole. Unless you learn to face your own shadows, you'll continue to see them in others, because the world outside you is only a reflection of the world inside you. How do we know? How do we discover the shadow? One way is from feedback from other people. They tell us, you know, it really hurt my feelings when you said this or did this, or I really felt left out or invisible. I had this happen with somebody this week who was describing to me a situation in which I had completely overlooked her and her participation in a way that was so thoughtless that it was a huge hurt for her. Now, it took a lot of courage for her to say that to me, and for me to look at it from her perspective and see what would that feel like for me was exactly the same thing. That's exactly how I would have felt in her position. So I had to own that I really had been that dense. It wasn't intentional. It just went right through. I just never thought of it. That callousness of overlooking her, I had to look at that and I had to own it and I had to apologize for it. And the truth is, I know that that's an aspect that could come up for me. Now, please don't everybody come up to me and tell me how I hurt your feelings after the service, because I don't know that I could handle that. But if you wait a couple days, if you need to tell me, please do. And I promise to breathe through it. Jane Monica Jones said, ironically, when we own the shadow aspects of ourselves and put down our masks, this is when we become truly lovable. When we hold ourselves in that perfection, we actually reduce our ability to be lovable. You know, the perfect is up on the pedestal. If you saw the movie The Black Swan, it's all about perfectionism, trying to be perfect, which drives the young lady crazy. We want to instead own and embody the weaknesses, the imperfections, the dark sides, to be aware of them, and to actually love them, to actually recognize that as a human being, there's a lot of value in our weaknesses and our imperfection, because it allows us to see ourselves as just like everyone, that we're all trying and we're all failing some of the time and succeeding beautifully at other times. So the first way we discover is feedback from other people. The next way is by noticing how we feel. If we feel embarrassed, ashamed, frightened, guilty, defensive, that's usually a clue that somebody has seen through the mask and touched it. They actually drew attention to it or said something about it. And we have a reaction because we know secretly somehow that's true, but we don't want that to be true. So the first reaction is to get defensive or angry. Usually when something somebody says evokes that, right away you know they hit it. They hit the button right on the head, even if we think it's not true. Because we wouldn't be defensive and angry and resentful if there wasn't something in it. We would be baffled. We'd be surprised. We would maybe be compassionate that they felt that had been happening to them. But we wouldn't have all those other reactions unless we're just totally blind, which is also possible. But noticing our own feelings is really helpful in terms of seeing that something needs to be looked at. So after that, what we want to do is we want to bring awareness. Okay, somebody gave me this feedback. Do I think that's true about me? Can I put aside my upset about it and look and see where are the places where that's true? How do I respond to that? And then forgive them for pointing it out and embarrassing us, and forgive ourselves for the fact that we have all this reaction to seeing the truth of a part of ourselves that is embarrassing to us or small. And then we need to release. After we find our way through the forgiveness, we need to release it. Release the fact that we made a mistake. So what? Everybody makes mistakes. That's how we figure out that there's a better way to do something, right? If we never acknowledged or we never recognized mistakes, we probably as human beings wouldn't have invented anything, wouldn't have discovered anything, wouldn't have learned anything. So we need to be able to let it go and then practice. How do I then own this piece of myself and respond quickly by acknowledging it if it's pointed out and recognizing the feelings that rise and then forgiving and letting it go? If I start to practice that, then when it comes out next time, it will be a little less intense, and I will respond a little more quickly with these other opportunities to let go. Because as soon as I start to feel defensive, instead of projecting that onto the other person, I can say, ooh, ouch, it's really hard for me to hear that, even though I recognize it. And I'm glad that you reminded me. In a way, I'm not glad, but thank you for telling me, and I acknowledge that I made a mistake there. What can we do to repair this? Rather than just getting defensive and walking away or getting angry and rejecting that person. Can you relate to any of this? Do you know these steps that we go through? Yeah? Okay. So what happens when we allow the shadow to reveal some positive purpose to itself? Then it can actually serve us. Every time it shows up, it's giving us an opportunity, an invitation to grow. I can remember, and I still find it hard to imagine this, but I can remember Ram Dass saying that as you become more aware and more enlightened, then when these failures appear, when your character flaws show up, you welcome it because it gives you a place to practice your spiritual openings and to get better. So he would say, bring it on, make the fire hotter. I don't think I'm at that point that I could say that. It's like me saying, please don't come up to me after the service today and say, I'm not quite ready to say, make the fire hotter. When it shows up, it's quite hot enough for me right now in terms of my own inner reaction. So that might be true for you too, or maybe not. But we want to be able then to come to a place where we start to recognize the essential importance of darkness. So the universe, that all the planets and stars and galaxies and black holes and red dwarfs and whatever else, all those things out there, they live in the darkness. That's the womb, that's their home, that's where they are. And I found this interesting thing on a website called earthsky.org. I think this is so fascinating. More than 60% of invertebrates and 30% of vertebrates are nocturnal, having evolved to find food and mates in uninterrupted darkness. More than 80% of Americans can no longer see the Milky Way from their home. He says, what I see nightly above me is usually a dim cousin to the depth and wonder of a truly dark sky. And it makes me wonder how species are surviving in a world that we have illuminated so brightly in the night in so many places. He talks about going to a place where it really was truly dark at night. And he says, for the first time ever, I witnessed the fuzzy oval glow of the Andromeda galaxy with nothing more than my eyes. I saw star clusters dig out patches of sky and anchor their surroundings instead of having to hunt them down with binoculars. Cassiopeia and Perseus were nearly swallowed up by the sea of stars flowing from the Milky Way behind them. We need darkness for moments like that. We need darkness to feed our spirit, protect our earth, and protect the health of our planet. I hadn't thought about darkness being essential to life on earth, but it is. When I was dealing with back pain that was so bad I was incapacitated, one of the things my acupuncturist said to me was, you have to sleep. Sleep is when the body heals itself, because I was in so much pain I wasn't sleeping. He said, you've got to go back to your physician and get sleeping pills. Don't worry, you're not going to be on them forever. It's temporary, but for now, you must sleep. And I hadn't ever thought of that. It had never occurred to me. So the light and the darkness are both necessary to life itself, which is a clue that it might also be necessary in our own personalities, too, to our well-being, that we have both, or what we would think of as darkness. This darkness actually helps sustain life. It also brings human beings experiences of awe and curiosity and wonder that nourishes the soul. And it shows us a mystery to be discovered, like the depths of the ocean, which at the bottom of the ocean is completely black. Some of those creatures don't even have eyes because it isn't possible to see down there. So the mystery is part of our own shadows. Our own shadow side is mystery to us until we begin to see it and let it serve us rather than separate us from each other. Rumi said both light and shadow are the dance of love. Copernicus said this interesting thing about shadows. Wouldn't have thought of this either. I always thought the way that human beings discovered that the earth was round was because when they traveled on the ocean, they could see that there was a point at which they couldn't see any further, where the ocean disappeared into the horizon. But if they kept going that way, sometimes more earth began to show up. If it had been flat, they would have been able to see further. That was my thought about how it was discovered. But Copernicus said this: the earth, together with its surrounding waters, must in fact have such a shape as its shadow reveals, for it eclipses the moon with the arc of a perfect circle. He was looking at the shadow of the earth against the moon when the sun was on the other side of the earth and we were blocking the moon. That amazes me. That observation and thinking it through like that and coming to that conclusion amazes me because it presupposes some understanding of everything moving and lining up. How did he know that was Earth, that was whose shadow it was? I mean, I think it's just amazing. Yeah. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says, there is a light and life at the center of things, and a consciousness that responds. This imprisoned splendor, to the eye that perceives, it bursts like the glory of new dawn. And I think that sometimes we can't see our light well enough because we get so preoccupied with trying to hide the darkness that's inside us that we don't even realize how amazing and beautiful and good we are because we so worry about people seeing the places where we're not all of that we get blinded to our own light. In a sense, we get hypnotized by our own darkness, the very darkness we're trying to prevent, eliminate, reject, ignore, disown, and so on. We want to instead come to right seeing, where we recognize the potential value in our shadows. You know, we know as parents, I can remember when my son was tiny saying to a friend of mine, I don't want to screw him up. And that's how all parents feel like, I'm going to do this better. I'm going to do this differently, or I love the way my parents did this, I'm going to do that only better, right? And then you have one of those days. My mother at one time said, you know, because when Luke was little and he was tearing around and all that and making lots of noise and everything, and she said, when they're tiny, we can't wait until they can walk and talk, and then we want them to sit down and be quiet. But they wouldn't be very healthy kids if they did that. And so, as a parent, after I said to my friend, who had 2 boys older than my son, I don't want to screw him up, she said, oh, Mary, you will. And then she said, whenever you do something that you think is really going to screw him up, just put $50 in the therapy fund. He can have it when he's an adult, you know, and go out and fix himself at that point. Our teachability in those moments when we feel our own failures as moms. I mean, some moms are all light, other moms seem to be all darkness. You know, not everybody in this room had a mother they could say, woohoo, she was fabulous about, I'm sure, even though there's just a small group of us. But for most of us, our mothers were in the continuum. They were not 100% terrific mothers. They were not 100% terrible mothers. They drifted around in there, yeah? And we learned things from that. Then when we became parents, if we did, even parents of pets will know this. Even if you're raising plants, you might know this. There are those times when we just don't do what we know we should do because we're so something at that moment that what comes out is not what we really want to be saying or doing. Maybe not even what we really believe. There's a story about a rabbi who was very wise. He asked his students once, how can you tell when it's morning? Now, they were used to his teaching questions, and so they all wanted to answer him. And one of the younger ones said, Master, is it when you see an animal in the distance and you can tell whether it's a sheep or a goat? No, replied the rabbi. And an older student said, is it when you can see the demarcation between the sky and the land? Nope, it's not then either, the rabbi answered. When is it then? The baffled students asked him. It is when you can look in the face of any man or woman and recognize that person is your sister or your brother, because until you can see that, it is still night. This is the recognition that Gary Lynn Floyd is talking about, where he said, I see God in everyone. This is the recognition Ernest Holmes is talking about when he tells us there's only one, and we are all expressions of it. No exceptions. At our worst moments and our best moments, there's only one. That's why the infinite is never disappointed in us, is never offended by us, is never really worried about us, because ultimately we're that, and we're just figuring it out. And as we're figuring it out, sometimes we're really great at it, and sometimes, forgive me, we suck. So it's important for us then to be able to not identify 100% with the darkness and think that we just are irredeemable, or 100% with the light and think that we're absolutely perfect and immortal and unquestionable at every time, because it's just not true of any of us. We're all on the road to discovering who we are. And so, as it happens, we're not there yet. That's part of the point of playing this game. So we can go and learn and retrieve the pieces and improve our responses and challenge ourselves, yeah? So we want to go forward into a nourishment of the soul. So Louise Hay wrote this affirmation. She said, I now rejoice whenever I see another portion of the dark side of myself. I know that it means I am ready to let go of something that has been hindering my life. I say, thank you for showing me this so I can heal it and move on. Thank you for showing me this so I can heal it and move on. Namaste. Thank you. Let's take this now into prayer and anchor it, all right? So as we turn within, the first thing we know is that God is all there is. And that means me too. That means all of us. On the way to discovering our true identity, we get to try out everything, and discover what it tastes like, how it feels, how it works and doesn't work, and how to improve it and improve ourselves. And this is such a gift. It's such an expression of trust to give us the freedom. And so we receive that trust and that freedom lightly. We take it in with love, with gratitude, with self-forgiveness, with releasing and stepping forward again, picking ourselves up and moving on. Because for this we were created, for this we chose this life, for this we were born. We are up to the task, and we are doing it now, and we invite in all of the awareness, all of the support in the unseen realms of love, of God-realized consciousness, to support us, to reveal it to us, to assist us to forgive and let go, and to grow and expand. It is safe to do so. We are so grateful to know this about ourselves and about the universe and about the tremendous trust that has been given to us because we're worthy. We let this prayer go in gratitude, and we accept it as deeply as possible into our psyches, and we allow this week to help guide us more into our light and into our self-forgiveness. So with gratitude, we release this prayer into the creative law, and we let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Please stand and join me for the morning's affirmation. Oops. My soul is at home in spirit. I make friends, can't see it there, without letting it steer my life. No shadow can dim my light. I forgive any smallness of spirit I encounter and breathe into greater love and freedom moment by moment. And so it is. Thanks. You may be seated. This is the time of our sacred offering. It's a part of the way in which we share our well-being and our goodness with the rest of the universe, with the rest of the world. As we send our gifts out, we actually are also sending out parts of ourselves as well. We energetically go with the gifts that we give, and we all have something to give, whether it's a smile, a good morning, a conversation, a help across the street, whatever it might be. If you give to Golden Gate, and we hope you do, we welcome you to do that by text, by check, on PayPal, on Venmo. All the different ways are in your bulletin on the back side. If you're online, you can text a gift to this number on the screen, and we want to then consciously bless the offerings we're giving right now, even by our very presence. So ushers, would you please come on up? And I want to invite you, if you're giving your gift in the room today, to hold it over your heart. And if you're giving it with your loved one, to hold it in your hands together. But in all cases, you can put your hands over your heart as we say this blessing together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Please go ahead.
is in me, moving through me, beyond question, steady, strong. Power and presence is my essence, been within me all along. What is there to be afraid of? Yeah. Pure light is what we are made of. Life is in you. Can you feel it? Look inside you, look around. Power and presence is your essence. Where you stand is holy ground. What is there to be afraid of? Pure light is what we are made of. Life is in me, moving through me, beyond question, steady and strong. Power and presence is my essence, been within me all along. What is there to be afraid of? Pure light is what we are made of. What is there to be afraid of? Yeah. Pure light is what we are made of. We are made of pure light. 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 Pure light. Pure light. Pure light.
Very. So on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, all of us together accept this offering. And we send it off to our office in San Rafael with the intention that wherever it goes, it creates greater freedom to own the dark side and respond differently to it. And so it is. All right, if you're here for the first time, yay you. There is a bunch of stuff on the back table over here that's available for you to pick up and peruse, and there are welcome packets that say welcome right on them, so that's how you know. Inside, they have a blue card like this, and Galen has some at the back right there that she's holding up and showing. If you fill in the blue card and give it to her, she's going to give you a little gift, which is a little book of affirmations that you can use for all kinds of situations in your life called Nourishing Thoughts. That is our thank you for being here with us, and also your invitation to come back and be with us often in the future. We would love that. I want to thank everyone who was involved this morning in setting everything up and getting it happening. You know, we always have some Sundays where everything is perfect and other Sundays where there are complete mysteries as to why something isn't working. We started off that way this morning, and the guys on sound just blew through and figured it out and straightened it out and figured out a way to make it work, and everything was great, and you'd never know there had been a problem. So I especially want to thank Rick and Jim and Dana this morning for doing that. It makes a big difference, and thank you to everybody, of course, and Leslie for the beautiful altar. Also want to say, yay! As we're thanking Leslie, I also want to say her workshop is today. Do you want to say something about it, Leslie? Please talk to her if you haven't signed up and you want to go. It's in San Rafael at the Learning Center after the service.
Well,
Dear ones,
Wait, we're not hearing you.
you can hear me now.
There we go.
This is a workshop that is entitled, What is Possible, What is Not Possible, and All Things Are Possible in the Infinite Life. And that's exactly what we're going to use as Reverend Mary's talk today. It laid the perfect foundation for this workshop. We're going to use spiritual principles, and I'm going to teach you something that you didn't know.
Ooh. So you can find these little half-sheet flyers back on this info table back here. That will tell you more about it, but talk to Leslie if you haven't signed up and you want to go. That workshop is today from 1 to 3 at the Learning Center, and I think we may have maps to the Learning Center back there on that table, but if we don't, talk to Leslie and she'll help you figure out where it all is. On Wednesday is the Women's Drumming Circle at Unity of Marin. Karen can't be involved now for a little while, so Barbara Borden will be leading all the drumming, and everybody is welcome. It's a suggested love offering of $20, but no one is turned away for lack of funds. So consider that for Wednesday night. Also, this coming Saturday, the Meetup and Cleanup group is going to be once again on Shoreline Parkway. They meet at the Target parking lot, and you just give a couple of hours from 10 a.m. to noon. That's it. And it's great. It'll be probably sunny and pleasant. You can hang out with friends. Gloves, garbage bags are provided, and sandwiches. Just bring your own water, preferably not in a plastic bottle, since they're out there picking up plastic. You know, it's kind of ironic. But do go, participate, enjoy. Now, this next announcement, Reverend Barbara will be here next week to talk about the workshop that she's giving at the Learning Center next week about cultivating peace first, before we react, cultivating peace within ourselves. And it is a 3-hour workshop, and we'll let her tell you about it.
Peace is not the absence of war. War is the absence of peace, however, because war isn't possible where peace exists, real peace. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is how do we become a place of real peace in our own lives? How do we learn to be that state in the midst of some chaos or confusion or disappointment or fear or worry or doubt? I invite you to join us next Sunday. I've been focusing on this 3 years, hardly with a break. This is what we bring into the public school system. And it's working. Atmospheres and environments and relationships are changing. And so if you have an atmosphere or an environment or relationship where you would like to feel more peaceful yourself, knowing that it'll enable you to view the relationship differently than before and impact it differently than before, then please, what could be more important than changing your life in a positive way? This is a practical seminar. Things you can take right away, even if you only come for 10 minutes. If you stay for 3 hours, you've had time to even set a route in place. And then the practice is to continue watering it and removing the weeds of doubt and worry and letting it take hold. So please come next week. I can hardly wait to be with you and share what is the most exciting thing that I've ever done in my life, which is to believe it's possible for peace on earth in my lifetime, because we are becoming peaceful now.
All right, so that's a good teaser to bring you to the workshop next week from 12:30 to 3:30 and learn some practical tools for letting go of fear and doubt and finding a new way to respond to those feelings. The men's brunch is coming up the last Sunday of the month. We love our guys. That'll be $10 for a wonderful breakfast. They're going to serve it here, and all of the all the proceeds go to Golden Gate. So plan to be here with your $10 on the last Sunday of the month. Also, we welcome more people on the morning hospitality team. Paula Yu is not here this morning, but you can talk to the gals who will be putting stuff out over here. You know Elizabeth Austin, you know Ann Langell, you know Ellen Nicosia. When you see them, you can talk to them about participating on one of the Sunday teams, and they would love to tell you about that. And Barbara Cox, would you come up and talk about the meditation that we're doing on Wednesday night this week? Because it'll be a visioning, but a little different than our standard one.
This Wednesday is our regular meditation at 7:15 in the evening, and we hope many of you can join us. In this cycle, it is a visioning process, which is a magical, mystical process to open to Spirit's highest vision for you. And this will be a legacy circle event. So we will be visioning for Spirit's highest vision for our legacy. What is our gift into this life? So I hope you will join us at 7:15 this Wednesday evening. This is accessed through the Golden Gate website, ggcsl.org. Thank you.
And ordinarily it would be, and hopefully it will be by Wednesday. Some of you have recognized that the website is down. And also our regular ggcsl.org emails are not working right now. That's my fault, actually, but we're working on it, and it should be back up during the week this week, hopefully before Wednesday. But when you get the Tuesday email from us, it will have the actual specific link in it for the Wednesday evening visioning. So please refer to that rather than the website if you can't access the website on Wednesday. We pray that it will be fully restored by then, but if not, then you'll have an alternative, and we will do the visioning on Zoom as we usually do. All right. Prayer, it's good stuff. If you'd like one this morning, talk to Deborah Paul, our practitioner at the practitioner table. You can also put in a prayer request, a written one. Please have all the practitioners now. I invite you to stand around the room as we close in prayer here. So, returning our awareness once again, joining together in consciousness, in the awareness that everything around us in this place is God. All the people, all the things, the floor, the lights, the ceiling, the sky beyond, we ourselves. There's nothing else in here but the infinite presence, the universal infinite presence of intelligence, of love. We are that. Knowing this, I claim for us this morning a deepening of our willingness to be teachable and to celebrate our learning, to celebrate our growth, to acknowledge our efforts, and to find encouragement and hopefulness and support all around us. We call that in from around us, from everywhere in the universe now, and we anchor within ourselves a desire and intention to operate from that place every day this week, as much as we can remember, with gratitude because we're empowered to do so. So we let this prayer go knowing that there are little changes taking place within us at this very moment, and we allow those and welcome them. This is good and very good, and so it is. And so it is. Please stand and join us for the closing blessing and the closing song. So we say this together, always at the end of every service. I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For Spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. This is a song most of you have known forever.
Thanks so much for letting me be with you again this morning. This is an old one, but a really good one. I'm just going to pull it right back out. Sing with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I love you. See you next time.